Yeah, before we go any deeper, let's cover that first and foremost.
What?
For everybody, anybody watching, any media, whatever, this man grew up playing left tackle. It's not all I've seen is, oh, well, he's going to struggle at left tackle. He isn't. He got recruited to go to Alabama as a left tackle and had to switch.
Because they had an
number
NFL
one
Pro
offensive
Bowler
tackle.
that was going to be starting at left tackle in Evan Neal.
Yeah,
And so he said, I just want to get on the field. How can I do that?
exactly.
He was literally the number one rated offensive lineman coming out of high school at IMG Academy, like the number one player. So
And they pump out offensive linemen like that.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our new episode. It's been a while, we know, pretty much about a month. We've had a lot of cover. Got, obviously the draft was our last episode. We were doing our mock drafts. We're going to go over, what that looks like, everything like that. But it's been a while. We've had some boys on some trips to delay us in getting these out. Also went on a trip, and Jared went overseas to England. But now we're all back, and we're going to get back on our normal schedule, hopefully here soon. But overall, how we feeling, boys?
I mean, I think we're feeling pretty good. I really like what we did in the draft. I think that's kind of what we were wanting to start off with here, but it's hard. It's always hard to say, what you're looking at just based off of the class, and you don't know a ton about all the picks. I do think it's interesting. I think we'll kind of get into each of the players here in a second, but I do think it's interesting. I think 3 out of the 4 of us had Sweat somewhere in our mock, so at least that happened, but pretty much everything else was outside the realm, other than the fact that we were kind of projecting offensive line first round. So that's one I think we should start with overall, because we're not going to probably get to the later picks. I think I like the way we rounded it all out, almost all the way through all 7 rounds. I think we got good value, but starting with Latham, man, I remember being so on the Joe Alt boat. And it's hard not
Everybody
to be.
was.
I mean, yeah, he was the best tackle prospect in the draft. I mean, you can't argue that. And so, but when I started seeing the attitude, the aggressive play style, the history of playing left tackle and switching just so that he could be on the field, like, there's so many little things that I'm like, man.
Before we go any deeper, let's cover that first and foremost.
What?
For everybody, anybody watching, any media, whatever, this man grew up playing left tackle. It's not all I've seen is, oh, well, he's going to struggle at left tackle. He isn't. He got recruited to go to Alabama as a left tackle and had to switch.
Because they had an
number one
NFL Pro
offensive
Bowler
tackle
that was going to be starting at left tackle in Evan Neal.
Yeah.
And so he said, I just want to get on the field. How can I do that?
Exactly.
He was literally the number one rated offensive lineman coming out of high school at IMG Academy, like the number one player. So
And they pump out offensive linemen like that.
they really
Plus,
do.
it's like Callahan has already said too. Say somehow, some way he doesn't really gel or get it going at left tackle, they're just going to switch him over to right, and he can play right. So it's a win-win in my book.
I agree. Go ahead.
They talk about especially with Callahan, when you listen to him, he talks about how he has all the tools to like make the transition. He's compared him and talked about him to previous players that Callahan's already switched over, like Tyron Smith from the Cowboys when they drafted him when he was there, and he transitioned him from right tackle to left tackle, and he's been an all-pro like for many years. But he's got all the tools. He's got the speed, the footwork, the power. I mean, I don't know if we would have taken Joe Alt over him if he was there. Like, it seems like this staff was so in love with J.C. Latham that there might have been a world where we still would have went Latham even if Joe Alt was on the board. I don't know.
Well, I also think because it has come out which Rand has already said in multiple interviews that they have planned for every single scenario you can imagine going into that draft. And who knows how many other options that draft board looked like, depending on who was there. But Rand came out literally after when the draft was happening, and they asked him, they're like, "Hey, did you know that the Chargers were interested in taking Alt at their pick?" And he was like, "Yeah, we were pretty much 95% sure that they were going to take him, and he wasn't going to be there for us." So I like that they already had that in mind. Plus, another big thing is that Bill Callahan, that J.C. Latham, it was his number one guy, no matter who was there. That he thought J.C. Latham was the best tackle in that draft. And I mean, the dude's a massive human being. I mean, we've touched on that already. I mean, he is literally a mountain. And one thing that I've been very impressed with, I know y'all probably seen all the videos and stuff on our insiders Twitter and Titans Twitter and whatnot of him using that big Bertha sled that Bill Callahan has made. That's a 380-pound sled that, like traditional sleds, you could pick them up and then move them, but he invented this sled to where that's essentially the wrong technique to use. And so if you use that technique, it won't move at all. And everybody has struggled on that sled that we've seen, and Latham has learned how to do it. But one thing I've been very impressed with him so far, granted, they said he has, I think it was like 11 or 11 and a half inch hands. So, I mean, his hands are massive, but even these videos of when they're just practicing, their technique on their punches and getting their hands into the numbers of the defensive linemen, he's got a powerful punch. I mean, I won't be surprised if he knocks some dudes to the ground just on his first initial punch this year. Like, don't get it twisted if that happens.
Yeah, sorry, Arden Key. No 13 sacks in the OTAs this year. Sorry.
And that's a good thing too. Coming in like we talked about all the time last year, Arden Key had like 13 something sacks in the training camp, and everybody thought he was going to be good. Now he's going to go up against J.C. Latham, and one of the things that people were talking about in pre-draft was that he might not be the greatest blocker against these speed kind of guys just because of his size and everything. So that's going to be really good practice for him.
I agree. I think the thing that I like the most about him is how he seems to be so receptive of everything.
He's coachable.
But, yes, he's coachable. And then you combine that with this, like, it seems like he probably had it before Alabama, but this Nick Saban, like, there was a clip of him, actually, before I say this, there was a clip of him practicing and talking with Bill Callahan, and they were doing some kind of drill where he was like, I don't know anything about offensive line drills, but he was moving to his right and like shouldering a pad, and he wanted to move to the back because he was like, I think this one in the back is heavier. Let me get this one, and like he just has this like constant like, what can I do to get better? I want to make sure I'm doing the toughest things. That one drill I think you saw in that clip, Callahan kind of laughed after the first time he tried because
he did move it on his first try.
He moved it, but it took it off balance, and he's supposed to push it straight forward. But you saw that second time, he put it up, he kind of got stuck, and then he figured out it, and it started going real quick. I'm like, dude, he's learning on the fly. I personally don't think there's going to be any issue with him switching to left. I think he's going to be the Titans' left tackle of the future. And if you notice, the Titans, or the Bussin' with the Boys, brought back the run left hat, so I had to put it on tonight.
Shout out Bussin' with the Boys.
Facts.
Shout out.
Yeah, I got my hat here in the corner too, but it's going to bring that back. Now, look, this is different because we're going to throw the ball. Like, I'm so hyped about that. But you can still run left now again, and you're going to have an anchor of a left side, really left to middle.
Left to middle, yeah.
Because Cushenberry's going to be – I can't wait to see that. So that's kind of where I'm at. I think the coachable and the attitude is what I like most about him.
I think when I look at this draft, like, obviously Latham was the first round pick, Sweat was the second, and then we are going to cover Cedric Gray, the fourth round pick. There's two things that stand out to me, but only between Sweat and Latham with the first one is like they're already like when you watch the videos and you watch the stuff coming out from like the rookie camps, they're like leaders on the field. Like they want to be there, but they're also
very
like,
vocal.
They're vocal. Like they're gonna be guys in the locker room that's like, yo, like we're better than this. Like we're like, pushing people to play better. Like we need more of that in the locker room. Like we need the more Jeffrey Simmons type players that are like vocal. Like they're gonna be loud. They're gonna be heard. We haven't had that.
We honestly haven't had, for offensive line perspective, we honestly haven't really had it since LaJuan has left.
Yeah.
Because you think, even, shout out Kel's hat. I mean, the year that Derek had his 2K,
that's when I started.
Obviously we had him, Saffold, Ben Jones, all these, OGs. But even like the year after, their whole mindset was just, let's get Derek to 2K again. Like, let's work our butts off to get him to that accomplishment again. And we haven't had that.
We haven't. And that's like not just the offensive line position. That's like every position. Like even on the defense, like last year, it felt like Simmons was the only like leader of that team. Like Azeez was great for what he was, but he wasn't a leader. He wasn't a captain. Amani Hooker isn't a vocal captain. Kevin Byard fell off a cliff. So like it's cool to see we got young guys that like want to be leaders for the team. But the second thing I was going to say is I know Rand mentioned it before the draft is that they were going to draft from schools that like win games and like have
Yeah.
a winning mentality. And you look at every single draft pick we made. Latham's from Alabama. Literally, we're just competing in the college football playoffs.
And it's Alabama. I mean,
Devontae
historical.
Sweat, Texas, just competing in the playoffs. Yep. Cedric Gray, now North Carolina, granted, wasn't in the playoffs, but they're not a bad school at all either in football, especially with Drake May just coming out of there. And then even our later round picks, you know, Tulane's a good school, and Michigan obviously, but like
Jalen Harrell, Michigan.
Yeah, we pick players from schools that win.
And Miami and Louisville in there too, which they're all competing right now.
Yeah, exactly. They come from winning schools, like they want to win. Like, I mean, I don't want to. We were so sick of drafting the North Dakota State bums. You know, it's good to finally see someone that wants to win games.
Yeah, I agree. I think just to kind of hit on Sweat and Gray a little bit, for me personally, it's, of course, the first thing everybody's going to talk about with Sweat is there's two things. It's the off the field issue that happened right before the draft, which, come to find out, the Titans had their meeting with him, I think the day after, or like
it was the day after.
Yeah. So like fresh on everybody's minds, and you know that Ren and Brian, they found out about this, and like you can imagine, but they said they had a great trip. They met his family. They met, all.
Well, that was the thing. He came on his 30-day visit the day after, and then after that, a group of them flew down to his home to meet his family to talk about it even more.
Yes,
because their whole thing was, we want to learn who you're surrounded by, because the whole saying is like, you are who you're surrounded by. I mean, it's true. Yeah. If you're hanging out with the wrong people, you're gonna be doing the wrong stuff. So they want to make sure, like, hey, we're taking you, with our second round pick, when majority of people are saying you're a third round, fourth round, because I mean, Sweat coming into it was one of the highest defensive tackles, listed in the draft. And then he had the incident.
Graded as the highest, I think, in a lot of grades.
Yeah, and then he had the incident. Byron Murphy, yep. And then he had the incident, and everybody's like, oh, maybe he's going to slide to like third round, fourth round. But they were like, no. It's honestly like the same way that, I mean, not in the same situation, but kind of like the same thing we did with Will Levis last season, where, he was supposed to be a top 10 pick. He slid back, and then we traded up for him, showing him like, hey, we want you. You know, so I feel like it's kind of like the same thing in that aspect. But all in all, like you said, off the field thing, and then the weight. They haven't came out with an official weight that he wants to play at, but I can imagine they said it's anywhere between like 355, 350.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's going to hit that. Plus, with the nutritionist and everything that these teams have, I don't think that's going to be a problem. The only thing is him just staying healthy. Because Lord, if he can be, it is going to be insane for these other teams to play against.
You have to, and that's where I kind of want to go with this, because especially in the Sweat, in that department, he's going to just take up bodies. Like, you can't, you're putting like, everybody knows the monster that Jeff is. I'm hoping that this takes a little bit of load off of Jeff. It's going to free him up to get potentially some more one-on-ones. But it's going to take some like durability load off of Jeff. Like, we don't need him getting injured anymore. We've seen him out there getting injured and still playing better than most of the tackles in the NFL. But you put somebody else in there that's just as big, probably bigger. If more, he's going to be physical, going to take up space, and then it opens up stuff for guys, rotational guys like Key, but then your main guys like Harold and anybody else that's coming off the edge. It's just going to cause havoc, and we need havoc to get to the quarterback, especially when we know they're going to be sitting in the pocket longer this year, because guess what? We got some freaking corners, bro. Like, we have a team that can compete immediately, and that's my opinion. I don't know what that looks like exactly, but they're going to compete immediately. And I think Cedric Gray also fits into this. I think he could start.
I think he's gonna be our green dot guy.
There's no question.
Maybe he doesn't start green dot. I think he ends the season with a green dot on his helmet.
I think he is. I don't think the type of player that Kenneth Murray is, I don't think he's a green dot.
No, he's downhill.
He's not.
Even Aziz, like if we had a better linebacker, I don't even think we would have gave Aziz.
Yeah, if we had a guy like Jayon's a green dot. Like, or David Long, like,
Well, and they asked that because you have the rookie mini camp before you had the vet camp and then OTAs and everything. So the rookie camp was already finished, and they were asking Cedric Gray. I remember they were asking him like, "Hey, are they giving you chances to lead the defense, like being a green dot guy. And he sat there and he was like, "Oh yeah," he was like,
he already
really
was.
Yeah, he was like, as soon as I got drafted, I got the playbook and I was reading it for hours.
Mhm.
So I think they're trying to get him to be that, because that's the whole thing with Kenneth Murray. Like, Kenneth Murray is realistically what we wanted Aziz to be. Just go head hunt and smack people. Because with Aziz, we had him, but other than that, we got Dr. Gibby and who else? We didn't have another good linebacker. So Aziz was having to line up on the tight ends or whoever. So I'm very interested with this defense, especially like you said, corners. I mean, one of the biggest, actually probably the biggest turnaround a position group has seen on this team ever.
People that disagree with me that Doc Gibbons is worth anything, they're crazy. I don't know what games you were watching.
Somebody put some news station, or not even news station, but some media station. I forgot who it was, but I saw it on Twitter the other day. They had him as like our most underrated player.
Yeah, what games were you watching? Because
he's rotational depth. He doesn't need to be a starter.
He's not. He's a special teams guy. That's what he is. Like, I don't know how many times I watched it last year where you got Aziz lined up on the left and you got Gibbons lined up on the right, and Gibbons just doesn't have the athleticism to be an like NFL type of linebacker.
He can't attack the edge.
He has no speed. He has no versatility. He doesn't have the aggressiveness like some of the linebackers you want, like Aziz did. There were plays where Aziz is on the left and Gibbons is on the right, and he also couldn't read the plays, and Aziz is having to go around him to go make a play, and Gibbons is just kind of standing there in the middle of the field or hitting the wrong hole that he's not supposed to be hitting, and it's like, I mean, you're basically out there with only Aziz. Gibbons is just non-existent. He's taking himself out of the play.
And that's what I like about Gray. I think it's there cognitively. Like, I think he's going to be able to catch on to the defense quickly. Plus, I really like what I've been hearing just as far as people's perspective on Denard Wilson. I mean, I've heard him.
Well, go watch his interviews. He'll get you ready to run through a wall. I mean, he's insane.
He don't take it easy on him, and he's in there. Something happened with Cedric Gray, I think, at practice, and he let him have it for like a play. He was like,
good.
We ain't gonna get this stuff wrong, And a lot of that's just fundamentals and easy. They're just trying to get the rookies into the routine. But yeah, I mean, but Gray, he is fast. He's athletic. He can play downhill. He is good in coverage. So like being able to grow on top of all those things and have it cognitively to where he's going to be a young guy before the end of the season with a green dot, and we have desperately needed that. So I think he could potentially be as talented as a guy like Peyton Willis, or what his name was? Willis or Wilson?
Peyton Wilson.
Wilson. But to this point has been way more durable and available. So if you get somebody like that that's going to be able to fill in, I mean, I really do. I think our first 3 picks are going to start day one. So that's super exciting. So, and then
didn't Cedric Gray just turned 21 too? Like, he's young.
So.
He's really young too.
So to have it's hard to say with the last 4 or 5 picks that we had, just because you don't get as much information on them. But the top 3 guys, they all have that, like, I want to be great. Like, just tell me what I need to do so I can be better for the team. And then they're going to go from there and use the gifts that they have to, fit into all this. And that's where the new coaching staff, the new strength and conditioning staff, everything is just new and feels revamped. And there's a different energy around where we are right now. And that's what I'm most excited for, honestly. There's so much unknown, but it's a good unknown. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's like we said in the past, I think I brought it up in the last episode. It's what Brian Callahan has been trying to preach from day one since he got here, was changing the culture and trying to make it to where guys want to come in every day and get better. Even not just the players, but even the equipment staff, to the nutrition people, to strength and conditioning. Everybody wants to come in and get better. And you can tell from everybody that we drafted, all the coaches we've hired, they all say the same thing, is that, everybody wants to win here. Everybody is in. Everybody is working, very, very key word here, together on trying to get better.
Yeah, there is definitely an intentionality on a group effort focus. Like,
because that way you can hold everybody accountable. Because that was Vrabel's whole thing. You listen to him and, Tannehill, for instance, I mean, this is hypothetical. I don't know if he actually said this, but take it back to the Bengals game perspective. Say like that was a regular season game, and he threw those 5 picks. After the game, everybody know why we lost. It's Tannehill throwing the picks. But he come in and he'll say, "Oh, we need to throw better, but we can also
play better.
we can also cover better and tackle better and all this." Like, bro, come on, bro threw 5 picks. Like, there was no accountability with Vrabel. He was much a player's coach and wouldn't. And honestly, what I've been more surprised by is how much not only Rand but our whole coaching staff in general, how much they are giving to our sports media when they're in their interviews. Like I love watching our interviews now. You watch a Mike Vrabel interview. I mean, I could have put that on and go to sleep every night. It was horrible.
He doesn't give you anything. There's coaches like that, and I get it to an extent, but I feel like you can do justice. I thought Vrabel was a great motivator, but as far as scheme and all, like, it just wasn't all together to me.
He's too stubborn to make changes.
And they're stubborn is a big one. Yeah. So
he was also just secretive.
I agree. Yeah, I agree with what you're saying, Drew. I mean, you just feel like
you can tell it's different.
Like, the fans want to be involved, and Vrabel did not involve them as far as. I mean, I'm not saying you have to give us a detailed outline of your freaking schedule every day, but like, give them something. You look like you don't want to be here half the time, and I don't think that was the case, but it's just the way it comes across, and so it was frustrating. But these interviews with all of them, with Wilson, with Coach, Callahan, Coach Callie, Rand, everybody, it's just been very different, which again is a good different. So I like the direction we're headed. I don't know if y'all wanted to touch on the draft picks.
Well, I was just going to say, to round out the draft, I think they did a great job of attacking, like you've already said, guys that are going to be depth guys for us.
And huge team needs.
So, we got obviously Cedric Gray, and then we went and drafted Jarvis Brownlee, the corner from Louisville. There's been talks of maybe switching him to safety.
He's very aggressive and physical. I like that pick.
Yeah, very physical corner, and honestly, it gives us a depth because, with our corner situation, everybody, of course, talks about our 3, Snead and Cheeto and McCreary. But after that, we're looking at Caleb Farley, Trey Avery, Eric Garrer, like these guys that we don't want to touch the field. So I like that they drafted him. Then we go Jaquan Jackson, the wide receiver from Tulane.
I like him a lot.
I mean, cool. He's got depth at receiver, but I think the biggest thing for him is I believe he's going to be both our kick and punt returner.
And he's dynamic.
Maybe splitting that with like Beers, but I like him as a returner. I watched his highlight. Dude is a speed demon. I mean, he's good.
That's what we need. We need speed.
And then we took James Williams, linebacker / and they have him as linebacker / safety, which is interesting to me.
The switch to safety.
Yeah. And then obviously last pick was Jalen Harrell, edge from Michigan, which I like. We needed another edge.
Yeah, we needed another edge.
I think
that
was the safety that they were wanting to switch to linebacker. It's one of
the
two.
He is going to play linebacker.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I mean, that's another depth guy because, other than that, you got Gibbons and nobody else. So
yeah. I mean, honestly, the further we push Gibbons down the depth chart, the better. So
yeah, and then like the last pick I was talking about, the edge. I mean, obviously you have Arden Key, Harold Landry, and then you jump to Rashad Weaver, and then that's about it. So
that is it, really. I don't know if we have another edge rusher on the roster at this point.
I'm hoping Rashad Weaver can make a little bit of a jump this year.
He's like our only, other than Harold at this point in his career, he's our only like physical edge rusher. So I haven't watched Jalen Harrell. I don't know what kind he is, speed or physical. I don't really know. I don't know if y'all know from watching him or not at Michigan. But I'll be interested to see how that works.
I mean, he was a 7th rounder. Like realistically, nobody in the 7th round is going to come out and just be like a stud.
Yeah.
But like, he's good depth. Like, I mean, a position that needed some depth, and like, obviously, like, he brings a winning culture and mentality that this roster's looking for. And I think that's the most important part. So I'm not saying he couldn't be a factor, but like, he's good. Like,
and being at Michigan, he's seen plenty of offensive line talent, to rush against. So, it's not like he's coming from a D2 or a small D1 school where he hasn't really seen much good offensive line talent, and he's just destroying. So I think that it's one of those things. It's like you take a little bit of a risk, but could be a bigger reward in the end if he's able to develop with some of the raw skill that he has. But yeah, I mean, take all of that, and then we can jump into TB, Tyler Boyd, which I think is one of, if not the biggest pickup for us. Well, I don't want to say that because Snead was pretty big, But it's a
Snead's
big
up there.
pickup in my opinion because I feel like, and people may disagree with this, but I feel like this completely changes the narrative on what can happen for Traylon Burks, the other TP on the team now.
Mm-hmm.
People are saying it's going to take away his snaps. Maybe a little bit, but I still think there's a lot of room for Traylon to work in this offense. But it's just going to take all of the load off of him of, like, we drafted him to essentially replace AJ. Like, that was a lot of pressure to take on. Plus the injuries that he's had to deal with. He just hasn't been able to live up to that. But now giving him 3 veterans that are all still good enough to be wide receiver 1 or 2 is going to be huge for him, in my opinion. Plus, you got a new offensive mind in here that's going to want to help him and help around him now. I just think that this year's going to be a lot better. Maybe he doesn't explode, and that's fine. But I think it's going to open up stuff like that. But to go back to Tyler Boyd, I really think, and you guys can jump in here after this too, but he's got very good hands. He's a pro's pro, and he is a, like, 100% slot guy. And that's huge. We need that. You know, I'm sick of the not getting a lot from an Adam Humphries that couldn't stay on the field. Kyle Phillips, who I really like his talent, but he hasn't been able to stay on the field.
Kyle Phillips will not be on the roster this year. I don't think he will be.
I could see
Jaquan
that
Jackson,
for sure.
He's going to be the
Might be a
backup
practice
slot.
squad.
As much as I've wanted Kyle Phillips to pan out, he can't stay healthy. I think he's too small.
Even special teams wise, he made too many mistakes last year.
Yeah, exactly. We've
Jaquan's
given him
gonna
chance
take
after
that
chance
over.
after chance, and he
Yes.
just drops and drops and drops.
So
That's
but
another
I would
thing
like
with
to hear y'all's
Vrabel.
thoughts on Tyler Boyd.
That was real quick. That was another thing with Vrabel too. Is like he was so stubborn and would give people chance after chance after chance after chance after chance. And like this new coaching staff, they're not going to do that. You know, you put Kyle Phillips out there and he's muffing punts, not getting open, dropping passes. Like you're gone. See ya.
Like, we said before, bro, you can't afford that in the division that we're in now, especially in the state that our division is in now.
But little plays like that add up over a season, and you look up. Last year, we were a good enough team to make a playoff spot. Let me just tell you that much.
Oh, yeah, we lost like 6 or something games. Yeah,
a possession or two. You go back in those games and look at like less than a handful of plays that completely change everything. That's how minimal you have to be in your mistakes in the NFL. It costs you. So
it does.
I think I'll touch on the Tyler Boyd thing. I think it's obviously a great pickup. Like Austin said, we're trying to not only in the draft, but it seems like from obviously our free agent pickups for the most part, other than maybe the Chargers with Kenneth Murray, that we're trying to get guys that have come from winning teams. And obviously we got Snead from the Chiefs, who are back-to-back champions that might even look to go for 3 in a row. Granted, nobody's really talking about it, but they've probably had one of the worst off seasons in terms of their players just messing up, So, because I just saw where 2 of their offensive linemen got arrested the other day for drug charges and stuff like that. So,
oh my God.
And Rasheed Rice is trying his hardest to make sure that Xavier Worthy is going to be wide receiver 1.
Yeah, his car got stolen. So it's insane. But anyways, back to Tyler Boyd. I have his breakdown. He came, was he drafted by the Bengals? I didn't look that up. Did he play all of his season, all of his career?
Yeah,
this year?
he's been his whole season.
Yeah, he's played his whole year.
He's played 8 seasons for sure with them at least. He's played 8 seasons.
Well, and you got to think he started with Andy Dalton.
Yeah.
So he has been there for a while.
His stats, honestly, they're not like crazy, but they're one thing that you hear about Tyler Boyd is he is Mr. Consistent. He's always on the field.
Mr. Third down too.
He's always on the field, and he's one of those guys that is going to catch the ball and go down. He's not going to get these big hits. He values his career as a receiver. Through 8 seasons at the Bengals, he's been averaging 64 receptions a year, which is really good. I mean, D-Hop had like mid-70s, I think, last year.
I mean, it's almost better than our number 1 receiver last year.
Yeah,
he's just a slot guy.
He's averaging 64 catches a year. He's averaging, which is kind of crazy to me, 750 yards a year, flat. Like, he's hit that every year.
Do you remember, what was it, like 2 seasons ago? I think our leading receiver was Robert frickin' Woods with like 480 yards. 400.
Yeah. So he has 750 yards a year. One of the biggest stats I like to see is yards per reception, 11.7 yards.
Yep.
And then he has 31 total touchdowns in his career.
He does find the end zone too. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. He's a good red zone guy, and he's a taller guy.
Yeah, he's like 6'2", 6'3".
Yeah. So one thing I've been seeing though especially bringing, because we're used to seeing Will Levis in this offense that we had last year, where he was just launching the ball downfield. And one thing that's very big is you look at the Bengals offense. Joe Burrow's not really a gunslinger, deep threat. He dices you up short to medium.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what we're going to try to get Will Levis to do a lot more of. Like, we're still going to use his deep arm talent for sure. But and everybody's YouTube videos and everything I've been seeing of Will Levis and their breakdown is saying, Will Levis could be the guy. And you look at some of the plays last year, like obviously he had a good game against Miami, good game against Pittsburgh. But, granted, we don't know how much, we talk about it sometimes, how much freedom he had in the offense of maybe changing the play calls or trying to get other guys.
Very much
very minimal. I doubt it. But there's a lot of instances where you can tell where obviously he's a rookie.
Mm-hmm.
He came in and he might not have been able to read a certain defense the right way. Where I watched it. There's a lot of plays where it looked like the play call is telling him to go here with the ball, and he's going there no matter what. And I feel like that might have been the thing of where he was trying to, because Tannehill, we said, did that too. But Tannehill is different. Tannehill didn't know no better.
Dude.
Yeah,
he was just doing it. But I feel like with Will, he was doing it because he was like, okay, this is what the coaches want from me. This is how I stay on the field.
Yeah, it also could be like, he really only had time for one read. Like it wasn't like he was actually being able to progress his reads. Like he basically, like, you snap the ball, he was having to, like, first person he's looking at, throw it, or he's getting sacked. That's how bad our offensive line was. So I hear what you're saying, but I think you have to take that into consideration too, because they were terrible.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things, just a quick hit on Levis while we're talking about it. In some of those games, you would maybe see him force a double coverage pass down the field to, like, D-Hop. Number one, it's D-Hop, so I can't blame him. But after the game, even in the press conference, he's already mad at himself. He's like, I went back, I watched that play. I had Traylon wide open under a crosser because the safety or whoever picked up on D-Hop. Like, he's already going through those things before he even watches a full film tape after the game. Like, he mentally wants nothing more than to just get this much better every single day. And that's what I like about Levis. Tannehill just felt so, like, stagnant. Like, it was never getting better. We were either just good enough to win games because Derek carried us, or, I don't know, like, and that's what's going to be different about this year. People that don't think we're going to run the ball, y'all are crazy. You have to run the ball in the NFL. But we're going to be more of an air raid. And the thing that I love about how we're going to run and throw the ball is the short, intermediate, deep game. It's all going to be opened up by, like, our running backs. It doesn't matter who's on the field. You're not really going to be able to know what we're going to do. You can throw it to Tajay. You can throw it to Tony Pollard. You can hand it off. There's just so many different things. It's going to actually look like an offense for the first time in years. You know, as weird as it's going to be to see 22 in a purple, and I hope he does well.
Just not against us if we play him.
Do what?
I said just not against us if we do happen to play him.
Well, we don't in regular season, so that would be playoffs. But
I'll make one more comment about Tyler Boyd. And I know, like, when we were watching the draft, we obviously had our group chat saying, like, who we taking with this pick? Like what y'all thinking? And I remember that second round pick, we were, like, ecstatic that Adonai Mitchell had fallen, like, to us in that, because everybody thought he was going to be, like, at end of the first round. Like, if he made it to the second round, he was the guy off the board. And he made it all the way to 51 to the Colts. But when he was there, we were like, oh, it's easily Adonai Mitchell. Like, give Levis an option, give him a young weapon. But I got faith in Rand and this coaching staff because, after thinking about it, maybe it wasn't time to get him a young receiver. You still got Traylon, who hasn't really developed. And, like, with this style of offense, he needed someone that was familiar
knows the
with
offense.
This that knows the offense, like Tyler Boyd, but also someone that, like, you see it all the time. Joe Burrow, like, Tyler Boyd had 2,000-yard seasons with Joe Burrow, and it's because he's reliable. One, like, he's on the field, but two, when Joe Burrow was young and he wasn't that great at reading defenses and, like, making the super accurate passes yet, he would always come back to Tyler Boyd. Like, that was his, like, safety belt. And, like, Will Levis never had that last year. And for a young quarterback that you're trying to develop, they need a safety option. Like, it can't just be DeAndre Hopkins, 33-year-old DeAndre Hopkins. Obviously Tyler Boyd's a little older too, but he just gets open. He just finds a way to get open, and he's, like, he's going to be Will Levis's like best friend basically. He's going to be a safety option down there.
I agree. Oh, well, and then you have the veteran leadership, of all three of them, really. And so because we're going to have a new offense, they're going to be able to come in and pick up the details of the offense quicker than a rookie would. So that's another thing to look at. So you're going to have that, veteran presence at wide receiver to really help Will Levis. Like he said in his presser, he's like, they're going to have to help him. He's like, I'm going to have to help them too. It's going to reciprocate, but to have that veteran leadership outside him, it's going to be really good. So
yeah, it'll be good.
Drew.
Plus, Will Levis, he already said, like, to mention what you just said on our boy TD, Teron Davenport, asked him in an interview. He was like, you have all these guys that are that they have brought in to make you better.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, how much of that is for you to make them better as well?
Yeah.
And Levis touched on the fact that with Brian coming, and they asked him how has it been with the learning the offense so far, and all the structural stuff that the offense is going to be. And one thing I really liked hearing him say was he said it reminded him a lot of what his offense was his his freshman year at Kentucky. That a lot of the verbiage that they use is pretty similar, so he's picking up on it pretty quick, which is good to see.
I think it was either sophomore or junior because he transferred from Penn State.
Yeah, he was at Penn State.
Well, yeah, I guess first year. He said first year at Kentucky. Yeah, I forgot he was a transfer.
But I think language was similar, and he had his best year there with I believe it was Wan'Dale Robinson was his top receiver. So yeah, there's a lot of upside and like things to be excited about. So I mean, as we're kind of talking about looking toward the future, I think we were gonna get into a little bit of the schedule that came out, and I guess we probably really don't have to worry about preseason. The only thing in the preseason that's good is just watching the draft picks. Like that's what I like watching it for, just to kind of see them in some game action. So
it's only 3 games this year.
3 games.
They bumped it down to 3 games.
That's been what 2 or 3 years now that they've done that.
Yeah, it was like that last year.
Yeah,
was it 3 games last year?
Yeah. It's because they put one more on the regular
season.
season.
Tannehill didn't touch the field till the third game, and all he did was hand the ball off 3 times.
Which I believe Levis is going to play 100%. I think
he'll play at least a
play a lot of.
We talked about already. You look at these teams. Kansas City.
Mahomes played a little bit.
Yeah, like Mahomes played like a whole quarter every single time.
He it's important
to get your quarterback in game feel again. I mean, there's so much that you could replicate in practice.
And let me just say this, Dan Campbell, I don't know if you guys watch Hard Knocks. I freaking love it, dude. I can't get enough of it.
But this year's going to be boring.
He was talking about
snooze fest.
The Giants.
Oh, no kidding. He was talking about in his training camp was when they did it for the Lions. He was like, it's going to be gritty. Like grit was their main word. And he said, I know these practices are hard. He's like, but y'all are going to play hard in practice. We're not going to rest. He's like, and I'm going to play people in the preseason. Guess what? They battled injuries. Where were they at the end of the season? Like, it just has to happen. It's football. Injuries are going to happen, but you have to put yourself in the best position for your players to be ready to go out there week 1. You can't go out there week 1 and not look like you know what you're doing just because week 1. No, every game matters. You only get 17 guaranteed opportunities. So you got to be ready. I think that's one thing Callie's going to be ready for too. So,
plus with who our week 1 is, we better be ready.
Yeah, we need to win that game for sure.
I would love to shut up all the talk.
Yep. So for those of you watching,
everybody's talking about.
I'll put our schedule up on the screen right now. It'll be up there. But coming into the season, we thought, supposedly, we finished last in the division, which normally means you get a little more lenient of a schedule. And obviously, I've had 6 wins last year. So
7.
We're 7. It was either 6 or 7.
Yeah, I think we had 6.
Either way, you're expecting to have a pretty lenient schedule, and let me tell you, it is far from it.
I agree. Yeah, I think it's tough.
I've seen some people say we have the 7th hardest, but to me, it looked a little. It looks for 4th in the division. It looks a little more difficult than it needs to be, but I don't mind it.
It's like an unknown. It's an unknown of difficult. It's not like you're playing like the Jags. I think they probably have to play Kansas City. They have to play some of these other teams where it's like okay, you
the
you
Steelers'
know
schedule is
100%.
criminal.
It is.
Hmm.
You know 100% those teams are tough. But if you're looking down this list, like let's just look at it close here. Chicago, you're facing Caleb Williams, arguably the
It's going
best
to be one of
talent.
the most watched Week 1 games of the season.
It is. And then
Easily.
you're going to the Jets, which is still going to be unknown, but you're going to face Aaron Rodgers and a revamped
he's playing.
offense if he's playing. And then you have Green Bay, which Jordan Love is coming off a great playoffs, and they're going to be ready to roll. You go to Miami, and that's going to be another. It's at Miami because we can't ever seem to get a home game that is prime time.
This is back-to-back years where we did not have a primetime home game, and that's like
Back-to-back.
never happened.
Which honestly, I prefer the noon games, but that's just me. But then you have a freaking fifth week bye. That is
Yeah, that's
honestly my
terrible.
least favorite part of the season. And then you get right into Indianapolis, Buffalo, Detroit, New England. So you have two young quarterbacks that you just don't really know what's going to happen, and you have Josh Allen and a revamp, an NFC Championship game team. Like this schedule is nothing but difficult. I mean, it's just all the way through. It's a gauntlet, and you have an early bye. It's gonna be rough.
Before we break it down, I'll ask y'all this. Give me what is one game that you can circle on our schedule right now to sit there and say that that's the game that you're most excited to watch.
That's a tough one. Honestly,
For me, it's going to be Week 4
week
against
4.
the Dolphins at the Dolphins
The
in
Dolphins.
prime time after we beat them last year on prime time in Miami.
The way we beat them. With
Yeah,
like 2 minutes left. They should have won that game.
Yeah,
So
that's going to be my game.
So underdogs in like 90% of these games. Like I'm pretty sure the
Mhm.
only games that we're not the underdogs in is
No, I can tell you. I looked at it.
it's the Patriots.
We are
we're not
the-
even
we are the
favored against the
favorites.
Chargers.
We're I don't know if they changed it, but we were the favorites against the Patriots, the Chargers, the Vikings, and the Commanders. That's
Yeah.
it.
So 4 games. Basically, we're projected to win 4 games. Honestly, the game that I'm like most looking forward to, and this might be just people might hate all you want, but it's the Chargers, like at LA. I want to go see us beat Harbaugh out there. I think that they're gonna run a very smash mouth like kind of football team. Like they're gonna run the
Mhm.
ball like crazy, and because he's that's what he did at Michigan. He's gonna do he's doing the same thing. There's a reason they weren't going wide receiver and like stacking up their wide receiver room. And they're gonna run the ball a lot. Even with Justin Herbert, they're gonna run the ball. That's why they drafted Joe Alt. They're gonna run the ball. I just want to see us play. This team is under Mike Vrabel has been a smash mouth, like run the football, super physical team, and I want to see another team that's going to be like that come play us and see how we react under a new staff.
But don't get it twisted though. We might not be run heavy, but we are sure going to be a physical team. With Denard
so.
and Bill Callahan, they both have the same like let's go hit him in the mouth and set the tone, especially Denard Wilson.
I'll just say, don't run HB dive against Devontae.
Oh, you're not running up the middle. There's just no chance.
But I hope so.
You're gonna have to run outside if you want to run the ball. But I think for me, and maybe this is a little bit, I'm cheap, but I think for me it's Chicago, like right
Week
off
1?
the rip.
I get that.
And part of that, like, there's just a lot that goes into that for me. Number one, I think he's talented, and I understand where all the talk comes from for Caleb Williams. But I do have to shout out my Notre Dame boys because they made him look like a fool on national television last year. But I'd love to see us do that to him. Like, welcome to the NFL, buddy. And plus then you're looking.
He gets hit he gets hit by Jeffrey Simmons one time, and it's going to be a real eye opener.
For sure. I mean, at Chicago, all
Week
the hype
1.
is around them this offseason. Week 1. If you could
That's
go
why
in
I'm
there
glad.
and get a win, plus you're going to have, hopefully, your whole team healthy. I want to see what our revamped offense looks like, and I want to see Big Jeff and Sweat get after Caleb, and I want to see him throw a couple picks to LJ. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
L'Jarius Sneed, like, this has potential to not be a very fun game for Caleb Williams, and I would love that. So, I don't know. It's just super. Plus, it's the first game. I mean, it's super exciting. So, maybe
I'll go ahead and say it here right now. If we do end up winning that game, national media, it ain't because Caleb Williams had a bad game. It ain't because Roma Dunze didn't have a good game. It's because the Tennessee Titans are good.
Yeah,
All right.
it is.
I'm tired
is.
of it. I'm tired of
The
sitting here.
disrespect is crazy.
It's insane, dude. We have to be the most hated team in the National Football League. We have to be.
It's easy. How we won 5 games last year with a terrible roster. This team upgraded at every single position, and we're projected less wins. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I look at the schedule, and I'll straight up and tell you right now, we're going to Chicago and we're winning. 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers off a
Here,
Achilles injury.
Let's do this.
Don't scare me.
Give us your total overall record. We're going to be when we hit the bye week 5.
Bye week. I think we're 3-1.
I'm gonna say 2-2.
I was going to say 4-0.
I think
we can have a hot start because you're like, okay, I'll break it down.
Maybe.
Like Austin was going to say,
realistically, we go 2-2.
Like Austin was going to say, we're going into week 1, Chicago. Obviously, home game for them. You have you think of it in NFL terms, unproven quarterback, right? Maybe the hype is too much for him. Who knows?
Yeah, I like week 1 as a W.
Yeah, so I think you're going to that. Week 2, you're going into into New York Jets, who they have.
We have a home game.
They're coming to us.
They're coming to us. My fault. I didn't look at that. But Jets are coming to us. You're facing Aaron Rodgers, who's coming off a season-ending Achilles injury when he only played 20 minutes of last season.
He's 40 as well.
Granted, 40. he is a 2-time MVP, but
just a few years ago. Yeah,
just a few years ago too. But I mean, dude, an Achilles injury. That is, he might be healthy, but in his back of his mind, especially that first drive.
I don't know.
He's going to be sitting there thinking, "Oh, what if it happens again?"
Mm-hmm.
He might be on some something. For
that
he might be. Maybe he might be.
And for me, for Green Bay, honestly, like I like Jordan Love, I do, but overall, I think our offense is better. I think overall it's a little bit better. For me, that game just comes down to defense.
I think
how many times we get after them.
Our defense is going to win that game.
Yeah.
Who am I scared of? Romeo Dubes and Christian Watson? Are you kidding me?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
And
I've been telling people at work every time, I'm not scared of any team throwing the ball against us anymore.
No, I don't care who you got a receiver.
If we're healthy, I'll square up against anybody. I don't care. I'll go against Tyreek Hill and Kyrie Hill Chiefs. I don't care.
That's why I'm not worried about the Jets in week 2. They got Garrett Wilson, who I think is a monster. But what am I scared of? Alan Lazard? Injury-prone Mike Williams? He might be lucky to even make it to the stadium.
Didn't they? They drafted Kill's guy. He wanted from it wasn't Western. Who was it?
Oh, drafted Malachi Corley, right?
Yeah,
was that him?
Malachi Corley.
Yeah, not scared of him. Roger McCreary's bagging him.
But no, not yet.
Hello, not scared.
Dolphins to me, actually, I'll take it back.
I think that's the game we're most likely to lose.
3-1 for them. 3-1 is the highest hopes. 2-2 is probably the most fair, and it's probably going to be something that's going to happen. But I would like 3-1. Here's the thing with the bye week. Obviously, I don't like bye week being week 5, but at the same time, I think it can either be really good for us, and it can also be really bad for us. But
why do you say good? Let me just ask you that though, because I find it like the negatives to me far outweigh the positives of having won that early.
For me, but because here's the way I think. The big thing with this schedule,
freaking every single division game is after that.
That's what I'm going to say. The biggest thing for me with the schedule,
4 out of our last 5 games are divisional. That's going to be brutal.
No, it's 5 out of our 6 divisional games are the very couple last games of the season, which honestly to me I like, because at that point, say we do have injuries.
We're probably both banged up.
Say we do have injuries by that time. Hopefully everybody's back. We're not. I would much rather have us and you got to think this is almost a brand new football team. That we have.
It really is.
So they're not going to be all gelled and together and have good chemistry week 1 through 5. By that time in the season, we should know how we want to play. We should know the dudes that need to be on the field, and that kind of stuff. And there's a chance. We are a sleeper team to win the division. We are.
Yeah, I think Houston.
I agree.
Is still better. I think Houston's
for sure
slightly ahead of us. But here's my thing though. I think we split with Houston. I think that they beat us in Houston. I think we beat them last game of the season. And like Kel said, having the bye week early kind of sucks, but it's not the end of the world. Coming out that bye week, I think you have to beat Indianapolis at home, because I think that we
have to sweep the Colts
every game.
We have to.
I personally think
we sweep the Colts.
My opinion is we sweep the Colts, and we split with Jacksonville and Houston. I
think we sweep Jacksonville.
Flip-flopped. I think you sweep Jacksonville before you sweep the Colts. The Colts had a good offseason. If Anthony Richardson can stay healthy, and that's a big if he can stay healthy, that is a good team. That is a good football team.
Yeah, I mean, I think for sure we can easily sweep the Jags. I mean, the fact that they're about to pay Trevor Lawrence this money, to me, is insane. I think he's the guy for them just because they don't want to look for anybody else, to be honest. And honestly, right now, there is nobody else. So they're going to have fun with that. You got Gabe Davis, who obviously might have been a good pickup for them. He's a he's a yak kind of guy and can play the deep route. But I mean, you just let go of Zay Jones, right? But the thing with them is they had too many receivers. So we'll be interested to see how that works out.
I'll tell you another game that doesn't scare me one bit. And I know we're going to Buffalo, but the Bills don't scare me. Who am I to be scared of? I get you got Josh Allen, but let me tell you something. Rookie Keon Coleman, who runs a 4.6, will be lucky to get 5 yards down the field on L'Jarius Sneed pressing him at the line of scrimmage. And then what? Curtis Samuel is their number 2, and I'm supposed to think that Josh Allen's going to throw the ball. And the only way they win that game is if they run the ball down our throat.
I was going to say,
and Devontae Sweat's just not allowing that. Devontae Sweat is just not allowing that.
I'm now very worried against teams that have a very good run game, either that's running back or quarterback. Because, you think about it, our teams in the past 2-3 years have had statistically one of the better top 5 run defenses in the league, but now we've completely flipped that. We've completely flipped that to where it's now we're going to try to be a really good pass defense, and we don't know how we're going to look against the run. So that kind of scares me a little bit.
Kenneth Murray's a head hunter.
Well, yeah. I'm not saying we don't have the guys for it. I'm just saying right now it's just we have new guys in places where we had some consistent guys that were good in the run, and we don't have them no more. We lost Pop-Tart. We lost Aziz. We lost Danico Autry. So it's very interesting to see what kind of defense we are going to be. And honestly, I would take a team running us all over the field compared to passing all over us. So
when I look at our schedule, I see 2 losses, like for sure losses. Like we're going to lose more than 2 games, but there's only 2 games that I can see that I just straight up say that team is going to dominate us, and that's Houston, and that is the Lions. Truth be told, like and the Dolphins. I'll give the Dolphins. So 3 teams that I look on paper, I'm like they're just flat out the better team than we are. And I'm not saying that, we're only going to lose 3 games. I think a lot of these games are going to be closer than people think. Like, I think the Dolphins can beat us.
There's no reason for us.
They're not Dolphins. The Lions might beat us by 28. Like, the Dolphins are not Dolphins. The Lions are going to be that much. Like, they're going to be a very good football team. But they do both very well, passing and run the ball. They're going to score points. But
there's no reason for us to not be competitive in every game.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm at.
Both sides of the ball.
I'm just sitting here. It's hard. Maybe it's a little bit of another cop-out answer here, but I think realistically we go 8-9 or 9-8.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking 10-7.
I could see us winning up to 11. It's just like hard to tell, but I could see us going like 9-8. Maybe
I think
9,
I think the best I could see us going is 10-7, and I think that only happens if Will obviously has a phenomenal year.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, we're talking with the guys that we have on our receiving core.
I'm not going to rule that out.
There is a potential world where Will Levis might come out and throw for 4,000 yards.
I mean, he might. In this new offense, I
think we're going to outscore a lot of people because that's the whole thing. Like, we haven't been able to score, and our defense has had to carry us. Now our defense is really good,
points up now.
And we should be able to put points up. Exactly. So I think we're going to be able to outscore people now.
Yeah.
My record prediction is 10-7.
I'm saying 10-7 as well.
I think we lose.
I'm going to go 9-8.
9-8. I mean, 9-8, 10-7, flip flop. I mean, the NFL is that it's everyone says it like no game's a gimme, and so one of these games, we got to play the Commanders in Washington. We're probably all chalking that up as a win, and that might be a loss. You never know.
Jaden Daniels. I mean, again, teams like them and the Patriots, and what was the other one? Indianapolis.
This is the Commanders of last year. I'm chalking that up as a W, but
exactly because you're looking at Jaden Daniels. You got good receivers over there. You don't know what that's going to look like. But then Indianapolis with Richardson coming back. And then, of course, you have a revamped Houston around an already good and prospering C.J. Stroud.
Yeah, Houston's going to be hard.
I think one of the easier a couple of easier games on our schedule is Jacksonville, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Or they should be. I'm not saying they can't beat us, but it's an interesting schedule for sure. I like that majority of them are noon games.
Yeah.
And you got to think a lot for, especially for us, the Texans. There is a thing that's called the sophomore slump.
Hey,
for
pressure's on
quarterbacks.
them.
So, I mean, Will Levis can come out here and lay a stinker, and CJ could come out and lay a stinker, because I'm in the firm belief, and it ain't going to happen. It's not going to happen. But don't be surprised. You heard it here first. To me, the Houston Texans are giving me the Golden State Warrior vibes. When they got KD, they had Steph, they had Draymond, they had Clay. The 73-9 team or whatever it was that set the record for the most wins in a season.
KD. So let's.
You said what?
Don't be talking about my guy Steph.
No, but listen, they remind me of the Golden State Warriors where they stacked their team with the guys.
And they blew it against LeBron.
And then they can either come out and be the team in the NFL, or then come out and suck.
Okay, but
just because there's too many heads.
They were the team. I mean, nobody goes 73.
Yeah, they were the team, but then they choked.
They did.
Yep.
It's like Shaq and all them said. You had the best season for what? You still got no rings from it.
True, I guess.
Nobody cares. You didn't win.
We can hit the brakes on the Warriors' hate, though.
I mean, dude, the Warriors' downfall is here. They're done for. They stink.
Is Steph gone yet?
It don't matter. He ain't got nobody else. Clay's gonna be learning Chinese here in a couple of days.
He is.
And Draymond's gonna join the TNT Insiders with Shaq and all them because he can't play either.
Anyway, moving back to football.
Yeah, let's move back to football. Actually, I just want to collectively go real quick through, and maybe we can kind of close up this way. But I just want to go real quick through and see if we can come to a majority vote on what we think for each week, real quick. So,
I like that.
Let's just say W or L for each of us for every week. So week 1, I'm gonna go W.
W.
Yeah, we're winning week 1. We're coming out and we're shocking the world.
Yeah, we're gonna beat Chicago.
And I could see that being pretty close, considering it's an away game too. But I think Caleb probably struggles a little bit in game 1.
That's kind of one of those games I'm glad we're playing early in the season, first game where he's going to have the butterflies and be
doesn't
nervous.
have time to settle in enough. Yeah,
exactly.
So then we go week 2 at home against the Jets with an unknown status of Aaron Rodgers. This is hard for me. I'm going to say L, though.
I think that game is it's so dependent on if Aaron Rodgers plays, but I think that we win that game solely because we are at home. And also we just don't know how Aaron Rodgers is going to look to start the season at 40 years old coming off an Achilles injury. So,
yeah.
I think we're going to win that game, and it's going to be a D-Hop masterclass because you're going to have sauce on Calvin Ridley, and I don't know who their cornerback 2 is, but D-Hop's going to go have a day.
Yeah. Calvin Ridley might as well just stay on the sideline. Calvin Ridley might as well stay on the sideline that game because he ain't getting
So should Garrett Wilson.
we better honestly. We better hope Tony Pollard shows up that week. Woo! Yeah.
Week 3 Green Bay?
Yeah, week 3 Green Bay at home.
Loss.
I think we're losing that one as well.
I think their defense is
actually no, my fault. We're winning that one. I forgot that I was looking at it wrong. We're winning Green Bay.
I don't see us beating Green Bay. I mean, obviously
who are their corners?
Jair Alexander.
Okay, well that's one, but also we've had some good success against Jair. I mean, Treylon his rookie year made Jair look terrible.
That was his best game as the Titan.
So I mean, he called him too little whenever he snagged on him.
Yeah, so that was a play that we didn't even need to do.
That's Treylon. You throw Calvin Ridley in there, I think we're good. I think we win that one.
I think the Packers they're a sneaky team in the NFC this year, especially if their wide receivers can stay healthy. They got Josh Jacobs as well. They got a good offensive line. They're going to be a great offense, and their defense is good.
I'm gonna say L too. I think it could go either way, but I'm gonna say L.
All right.
And then we go to Miami, first and only primetime game. I'm gonna actually say W here.
When
I have us losing that one.
Okay.
They got rid of Christian Wilkins in the middle, and they didn't really replace him. Halfback dive behind Cushenberry. It's going to be pretty hard to stop.
Either one of them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like yes, we have Steed, Tyreek Hill. You know, they've had history with each other. But I don't know. I just this game can go either way. It's either
Yeah.
gonna be them winning, and like we said, it's gonna be close for sure. It's either gonna be close or we're gonna come out. We're gonna curb stop them. That's how I feel like that game gonna go. Because like you said, they don't have that prime time defensive tackle. I think we're gonna be able to run the ball a lot more. And they do have film on Levis last year in their game, passing all over him. So I think they're going to throw out some different looks on him, and it'll all really depend on how he reads it. But I have us losing that one. I don't think we go there back-to-back years at their home place in prime time, packed stadium, and win that game. I don't think we do.
Never know. Then we got the bye week, week 5.
I'm gonna say L on that.
L.
I don't like the fact that that's a week 5.
I think we win that one, but eventually when we play them again at Indy, we lose that.
Yeah, I think we beat Indy at home.
Yeah,
It all depends on AR. I mean, really, it does.
Yeah,
it truly does.
If he keeps on scrambling and getting these massive hits that puts him out for weeks to come, then they're not going to be any good. Because the good thing is, I mean, I hate to sit here and say anybody get hurt, but say AR does get injured, whether that be our game or a week before or whatever, and he's out. Thank the Lord Almighty that they don't have Minshew mania anymore to come out and lay us down. I mean, Minshew chewed us up last year. I don't even know who their backup is
with Jacksonville and Indianapolis.
I couldn't tell you who Indianapolis' backup quarterback is. I couldn't.
No, I don't know.
Last year?
No, this year.
They did have that kid from Texas.
Who
Minshew was last year.
Yeah, Sam Ehlinger was there last year.
Yeah, Ehlinger, yeah.
It'd have to be him.
Yeah, I guess it is.
Anyway, we can skip that. But like I was saying, if he's healthy, then it's difficult. If it's not, then I'm not worried.
Yeah, I say SAW there at home, and I have us at like 3-2 right there, and then we go to Buffalo for a noon game. I like the fact that we're playing Buffalo in October.
I think we win that game. I think that's a win. I just don't think they had a really big roster turnover. They lost a lot of their defensive players. They lost basically their whole wide receiving core.
Yep.
Obviously you still got James Cook and you added Curtis Samuel, you added Keon Coleman, but I don't know, man. I'm just not.
They're really young and inexperienced in that.
I don't know.
In their skill position areas.
I just think we're a better team. I just think that. I just think we win that game.
That's freaking hard, dude.
I think we're losing that one.
I feel like I'm gonna say L, but I would say W if it was at home.
I'm saying we lose that one because for the past couple of years, we just have a problem of learning how to tackle scrambling quarterbacks. They just get the first downs that they have to get to win the games, and we've just struggled. Granted, like we said before, brand new coordinator, brand new staff, all that kind of stuff. But I'm going off of based upon the Titans that I know. So I think we won't be able to stop him in the run, and that is going to ultimately give us the L because their time of possession is going to be so heavy.
This next one should be a no-brainer.
Oh, yeah, it's an L.
Lions and Detroit, that's a loss.
I do think, though, this is the game. This is the game for me that is like the turning point on our season. If we come out and we somehow manage to win this game, I think our potential just elevates for the rest of the year.
This is a measuring stick game.
Yeah, no way.
This is a really good team.
This is like week 6 last year against the Ravens in London.
Yeah.
There's no way I don't see any way. Maybe if we were at home, maybe, but in Detroit's an NFC contender.
Compete.
Ain't no way we beat them.
Yeah. I fear Aiden Hutchinson might have a career day.
Aiden Hutchinson
against Nicholas Petit-Frere. I feel like he might have a career day.
They're just good. They're just well-rounded. They're a good football team, and they're great coached. Obviously, I like this next one though. Patriots at home. I think that's a recovery week. Had a bad week in Detroit. I think we get blown out, and then I think we come out here and we put a beat down on the Patriots.
So if that's by my calculations, I think that has us at 4-4 going to LA to face Harbaugh and the Chargers.
I've only got us with.
That puts me at 4-5.
Hold on.
Wait, I've got one loss. Okay, yeah. No, I've got to set
No, New England would be 8 games.
week 5 bye week.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
week
that's
5's a
right.
bye, so I think I have us at 4-4 going to LA.
Mm. All right. Well, after LA Patriots, we go to the Chargers
Mm-hmm.
in LA. And what are
I'm
y'all
gonna say
thinking?
W.
I'm gonna say win. Yeah.
It's a tough one for me. As I mentioned how they're going to run the football a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and like, I mean, honestly, I just really don't know. Like, their defense is nothing special, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I want to give that a win, but I just feel like that's going to be a tougher game than like we're imagining, because a healthy Justin Herbert is going to get the job done, no matter who's at receiver, just because he's that good. I actually think we lose that game.
I think that's fair. The only thing I question in that logic is like, yes, I agree. I think Herbert's a stud, but first of all, who's he throwing to? Second of all, got to be thinking that whoever he is throwing to is going to be covered by some pretty dang good corners, given that we're healthy. So,
well, every
it's
year,
definitely a toss-up.
every year there's always one game, at least one game where you lose a game that you should win. We should win this
Yeah.
game, but I feel like this is our trap game.
I can
This
see
is
that.
the game that, you know, we're coming in here, we're thinking we're going to win. You know, we just blew out the Patriots. We're feeling good. And I think we kind of come back down to earth a little bit.
Yeah. So,
Which
Drew, did
rolls
you go
in-
W or L here
For which one? I'm sorry.
for
Chargers.
Chargers?
Chargers. We're winning that.
Okay, so by majority, that has us at 5-4,
Mm-hmm.
coming back home for Minnesota, and I think that's a W.
I think it's a W
That's
too.
a win.
So that's 6-4 going to Houston, which I believe is going to be an L.
Yeah,
That's a loss.
And then personally, so that's 6-5. I personally think this is one we could drop at Washington with an unknown here. I think it's one that's like
I would say
typical
yes.
Titans blow it type loss.
I would say yes, but because I have that loss being the Chargers as like the drop game, I'm going to say we win this game. Just because I think Jaden Daniels has potential to be really good. Their best receiver is Terry McLaurin, and like he's really good. Like no diss on
And
Terry
then
McLaurin.
what's behind that? I think just
It's
Dotson,
Jahan
maybe?
Dotson is their wide receiver too, and he's okay. Like he's pretty good, but like nothing. And they're starting running backs Austin Eckler and Brian Robinson. Like I'm not scared. I'm not scared of that at all either.
Yeah. So Drew, you'll be the tiebreaker again.
I say overall we win it.
Okay.
I think
I
there
can see
also is a world where just like the Bills, because Jay McDaniels is a freak athlete when he is running. And I feel like if he gets to where he is constantly able to get out of the pocket and run all over us, I think we lose that one. But I'm going to bank on the fact that we're going to be able to stop that. Because that's what we're going to game plan him for. Like, I'll beat Jay McDaniels throwing us all over the field with the defense we got.
So 7-5, coming back home for Jacksonville. I'm gonna go win here.
Yep.
I gotta go win.
So 8-5,
Mm-hmm.
coming back for Cincinnati, which is an interesting one. It's gonna be at home.
This is the game I think all of our staff has circled.
Yeah, probably so.
I think we lose.
If Joe Burrow's healthy, I think that
I'm
we
gonna
lose.
say let's go with a healthy Joe Burrow. I'm gonna say L here, and that puts us at 8-6.
If Joe Burrow's healthy, it's a loss.
Yeah. So then you go at Indianapolis.
Loss.
Yeah, this is one of those ones we just don't play well in Indianapolis. Like we just haven't, and it feels like the Andrew Luck syndrome is still lingering around. And I see that as an L here.
Especially if we beat them at home. I don't see us sweeping Indianapolis.
Yeah, I'll have us. Honestly, I got us losing this one and the last two games.
Yeah, like seriously, like I realistically have us losing to Jacksonville and Jacksonville.
I can see us
next
winning
week.
the Jags game for sure, but
Okay,
I feel
hold
like
on.
at
So
home
we
for them
have-
is.
So Cincinnati was 8-6. So losing to Indianapolis, that's 8-7. So we say we're losing to Jacksonville in Jacksonville.
Actually, I can see us sweeping Jacksonville. I'll
So
put that
then-
as a win, but I think we lose to Texans.
So then we go 9-7, 9-8.
Yeah,
Because I have us
think
losing to the Texans as well, right there.
I'll take it back. I do think we'll beat Jacksonville. Gabe Davis is just not gonna. He's not gonna get the job done.
I don't think their defense can match our offense, and I feel like that's one. I know one guy that's got them games circled, both of them. His name is Calvin Ridley. And looking at their defense, I think he's going to run all over them. He wants to prove to them that, hey, you should have paid me. You
Just
know,
like he destroyed us twice last year.
Yeah. So if not him, then maybe like D Hopper. Honestly, I'm very excited to see what T Boy does against some of these teams because if you don't have a good corner 3 or a good nickel corner, you're screwed. So
I mean, you got to think Cheeto. We're not thinking about Cheeto. Cheeto came from.
I haven't forgotten about him.
You're gonna have Cheeto and Tyler Boyd that are gonna want to. Plus, you have Callie. Yeah. So I mean, it's gonna be. I think he has a great relationship with Zach Taylor. So I just think it'll be cool for him to experience that, and hopefully, show.
He had experience with Joe Burrow too.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean,
he knows how Joe Burrow ticks.
Callie might be able to help old Denard in that game. So.
I'm so excited. That's the whole thing. Is just this whole going over this, just talk about all this stuff, man. I haven't been this excited for a season to start in a couple of years. Like even our best year, what was that? 2020, 2021, when we were the first seed. I mean, honestly, coming to that season, I wasn't. Well, no, that was off of the playoff run, so I was obviously very excited for that.
The playoff run was 19, and then not the
first seed was a year after.
Was it the COVID year?
Yeah, 2020.
Yeah, it was COVID.
We got the
that
was
our 12-win season.
Oh yeah,
12-5.
Because I was telling Austin them this the other night. I went down a rabbit hole on YouTube the other night before bed, and I watched the 2020 Titans highlights. And buddy, let me tell you, it was insane to see what our team looked like.
All we had to do was sneak a win in Cincinnati, and we go back to the AFC Championship game, bro.
Yep.
Tannehill just had to throw less than 5 picks.
He threw 47 interceptions, and we still almost won.
We sacked Joe like 8 or 9 times that game.
9. I think it's like a record.
Did we do the prediction for the last game against the Texans?
Yeah, we also lost.
Okay,
so
I think that's a win.
I think that had us at 9 and 8.
You think we're winning?
Yeah, in Nashville, I think we win. And here's the reason why.
So that goes with. I think you predicted 10-7, didn't you?
Yeah, I predicted
10-7, but I changed it.
Yeah, I'm predicting 10-7. And the only reason I say we beat Houston in Nashville is obviously I think we're losing in Houston. But they're coming to Nashville. Yeah. Also, you got to think your last game of the season. We're predicting Houston to be pretty dang good.
Well, that could be a potential playoff game.
Exactly. But not just that, they might already have playoffs clinched, and they might save CJ Stroud.
Maybe.
Like if they can't win the 1 seed, and they've already clinched, and they've already clinched the division, there's no point even playing it.
Yeah,
I think it depends on where we're at. If we're in the wild card hunt, and then say that's like a 1 and in for us, because I mean, let's be honest. If you're the Texans, who do you not want to face in the playoffs, especially in our division? Us. We're the second best. So do you throw CJ out there? Yeah, on paper. But or expectation wise, whatever you want to call it. It's say it's a play in and win. Would you rather play CJ and knock us out and send us home? That way you don't have to see us?
I could see that happening too.
I mean, maybe. I'm just kind of at the point where I'm like, I think the Texans are at least a 14. They're probably going to be 13 wins.
I'm going to say 12. I'm going to say 12.
I think 13 and 4, roughly.
But I'm going to say that, and I have no doubt we can beat them.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that. I just think they are better than us right now. So
yeah, they are.
It's going to come back to that. We can compete. I mean, we definitely can beat them. It's just, we'll see.
Yeah, but overall, we're going to be more than a 4-win team that the media thinks we're going to be.
It's crazy.
I don't think you're going to like playing us.
Oh, no, you're not. Everybody's thinking, I mean, you can think about it. A lot of these teams probably thinking what we're going to be like, because with like Austin said, with Vrabel, we were very smash mouth, very in your face.
We're going to hand the ball off to Derek 25 times.
Yeah, so very different team. Like I said earlier, Denard Wilson, you watch his interviews, he talks about it all the time, holding people accountable, giving the quarterback a lot of different looks, headhunting the football, and Vrabel's whole thing was we need to get more in the turnover game and stuff like that. I don't think that's going to be a Denard Wilson saying, we need more turnover. It's just going to be that's our expectation, that we need to have at least 2 or 3 a game. I mean, they're going to come out. Our interception numbers might be insane this season.
We're going to put pressure on the quarterback. I mean, we're going to send a lot of blitzes.
Give me one player underrated on the defense that you think is going to have a good year.
Kenneth Murray. I think people are underestimating his ability to stop the run, but also his athleticism. I mean, people forget he was the best linebacker coming out of college at Oklahoma 4 years ago. There's a reason he was a first-round draft pick. He's athletic. He's a freakish athlete. The Chargers weren't using him right. He's not going to be our green dot guy. We've already established that. He just basically just going to go
he's
play.
He's north-south.
Just
he's
go.
violent.
Just
let him go. Yep.
Like, he's a younger, more athletic Aziz. And Aziz, I mean, he's going to blitz the quarterback a lot. Like, I mean, he's going to be all over the field. So
I think for me, I don't know that this player is. Well, I mean, everybody on the Titans is underrated because that's just how the media views us. But for me, it's McCreary. I really think he's going to settle into that, like, okay, this kid's good role this year because he's going to have that extra help around him. And one thing I do want to say, just kind of as we're wrapping up, I think to kind of round that out, we really need to make a push for Justin Simmons, in my opinion, just to have another veteran presence at safety.
Oh, I think we're going to sign him. I think it's almost a lock at this point.
It's him or Marcus May. Him or Marcus May.
So.
It's one of the two.
One of those. But I think that just drastically helps round out the rest of the defense and kind of fill the void of, like, we need guys that we know can start immediately. So that's kind of where I'm at. I think just from the schedule prediction that we just had, you definitely know there's a lot of unknown and up in the air, but it's really exciting, and we're going to be competitive. And I just love what Ran and the coaching staff and everybody has done to try to flip this immediately. You can do that in the NFL now. We went from being a team that looks like they could contend, but didn't quite put everything together, to let's put people around. Let's build off of the talent that we have. Let's create an offense that makes Will Levis and all of our guys comfortable, and let's compete, like, immediately. So,
well, also at the same time, he's built cornerstones in this team.
Yep.
Obviously we already have Will for the quarterback. I think
Latham is going to be one.
You drafted Spears last year for your running back.
Yep.
You drafted J.C. Latham for your left tackle. You just brought in Snead and signed him for 4 years for your corner. You drafted Cedric Gray for your linebacker. Like, Devondre Sweat to be the next Jeffrey Simmons.
Yeah. I think Tyjae Spears could be an actual captain on our team.
Yeah,
I mean, there's too many heads to go around for him to do that. But
I mean, it's gonna be Levis, and it's gonna be D Hop.
Jeff. I say Jeff.
Oh, for sure, Jeff. Jeff's a lock.
I think Jeff's probably the easiest one to say. I could see somebody like LJ being one too.
Yeah, Snead might be a lot. Like,
Stonehouse
might
be a
captain.
Stonehouse is always one.
Shout out.
So we can maybe do an actual prediction on that in an upcoming episode.
Back to your point, Kel. I mean, I like your pick with McCreary. From what I've seen nationally, when they talk about the Titans, they talk about our defense. McCreary actually is one guy that they bring up a crap ton. They talk about how good he is. So in the national thing, I don't think a lot of people call him, which, granted, it might be one of those things where they're saying that about McCreary because Fulton has been so bad.
Well,
so
he's been
one guy, though, I'm looking forward to very not for the Titans at least, but for somebody looking on our team and you look at him, you say, "Oh yeah, I have no idea who that guy is," but this guy, he's in a prime position on this defense to come in and just play. He's going to fly around. He's going to make plays. Contract year for him as well, so he's going to be forced to be able to make some production, and that's Amani Hooker. I can't wait to see what his impact on this defense is now that I feel like he's going to be in that Kevin. If we get Justin Simmons, he's going to be our Kevin Byard role of the safety. But I mean, with Amani Hooker, you're not having to worry so much about picking up on Fulton's deep zones that he's missing, or whoever else out there. He's going to be able
to Christian Fulton.
I did not like Fulton. I mean, everybody's saying, "Oh, he straps people up, he puts them in the Fulton County Jail," but Lord, from what I watched, everybody was getting out of it.
They were,
and it was bad. I mean, either he was on the field getting torched, or his hamstring was torched. Either one.
The all-time Christian Fulton moment was the game we played the Eagles and AJ torched us, but he had.
No, that was bull.
Brutal. That was
no, bro. No. You're talking about where he tackled him almost.
AJ had a penalty, but then it's like the next play he threw like back-to-back touchdowns. Like the first one was called back, and he threw another one.
That wasn't the thing. They called the penalty on Fulton.
Yeah, it should have been offensive pass interference.
They called it on Fulton and said AJ tackled him.
I agree that it was offensive pass interference. However, by rule,
by rule it's defensive.
Yeah,
it's a stupid rule.
It's a dumb rule. Yeah, that's also one thing I do want to say. I know we're not talking about rules, That is one thing I want to see called more. Is I want to see offensive pass interference called a little bit more. I think the game is favoring the offense too much.
Oh, for
receivers.
Will Levis
push
would only
offs are
had 3 touchdowns in his
crazy.
debut if that first one got called. I mean, D-Hop shoved that guy out of bounds.
You know what the worst part is? That one wasn't even the worst one. The worst one was his catch on Xavier Howard down the field in the Dolphins game, where he literally grabbed the inside of his collar and yanked him to the ground before he caught it. It was crazy. Xavier Howard looks up like, how is that not a flag? I mean, I'd be
one
pissed.
thing. I get you on that. One thing I'm hoping to see get called a lot less is this stupid roughing the passer, man.
Yeah, I hope so.
Like I get it. There needs to be times where you throw that flag, dude. 3 seconds after he just released the ball and he's getting touched on his shoulder pad. I mean, come on, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's just 15 yards you're just giving them for free just because like Austin has said before, you can't play defense on quarterbacks no more. You can't hit them.
When a 45-year-old Tom Brady with no knees is saying that the NFL is soft, we need to fix that rule.
Actually, here's my roughing the passer thing comes to this. The one that they throw the penalty on for them throwing their body weight on top of the quarterback. Like, yeah, there's sometimes you can clearly see that happen. But, like, imagine Jeff coming at somebody full speed and the dude just now released the ball and he has no other option than to fall on him. Like, he's not deliberately sitting there, Jeff Hardy, Swanton bombing him. Like, he can't stop. He's 300-something pounds of pure muscle. Like, you can't slow that down that quick.
You ever heard of gravity?
Yeah.
So,
he's not L'Jarius Sneed. He's not stopping in his tracks.
The one that I want to see, motion will stay in motion unless acted upon by an outside force.
So, do y'all remember, like, you were always told, like, once the quarterback gets out the pocket, he becomes a runner? Like, that's what I want to see more.
Oh,
like,
the defenseless? Yeah, dude,
yeah, that's
if you're
what
running
I
as a quarterback, you deserve to be knocked. Like
exactly.
Come on.
Like, if you were a quarterback, like Jaden Daniels, he's going to scramble a lot. But, like, if you're a quarterback and you're scrambling, you are a runner. Like, you have given up your ability to say that you're a quarterback. Like, as soon as you start running out of the pocket and you're past the line of scrimmage, you're a runner. You are not a quarterback anymore. Okay, you're still a quarterback,
Mahomes.
but you're running back.
Who found out?
You're a runner.
Hit him. Who found out about that last year with Will Levis running? Jalen Ramsey with his head tucked between his legs.
He did.
But I'm just golly, man.
I'm excited.
I just can't stand when Patrick Mahomes gets tackled and he gets a flag called on him every time. I can't
don't want
stand
to talk about it because it just makes me think about the AFC Championship. So.
No, that's Rashaan Evans. He can't get out of that snake pit. He can't.
I think that needs to be worse than a snake pit. Well, here we are.
It's up there.
So I think that just about wraps up everything we wanted to talk about. I know it's been a while since we've done an episode, but hopefully this one goes over well. If you're still keeping up with us, please do keep watching, sharing, subscribe, click the like button, all that. If you do have anything you want us to talk about, throw it in the comments. I think Drew has made an email as well for that, and then follow us on our social media. Should just be in between the sticks, I think, on most everything without spaces or anything like that. So yeah,
we just got a TikTok right now. More stuff will be coming whenever we need it to, but I think TikTok's good for now. And I'll be trying to get more clips on there, obviously. But yeah, it was a good one. Like I said earlier in the episode, hopefully we get more on this more consistent schedule of us trying to do it every week.
Hopefully JP joins us back next week.
Yeah, I mean, timing, we're all, as you can see, we're all recording this from different spaces. We all got different schedules, so whether that's 3 of us on here, 4 of us on here, 2 of us on here, and we'll do an episode weekly. But yeah, thanks for all the support. Hopefully you didn't forget about us. I know we took a little long to get this one out, but let's see, by this time next week, what OTAs will be done and training camp starting.
Should have plenty of information to go off of, some videos to overhype ourselves about. We'll be able to go from there for sure. Plenty of information out there.